Have you ever felt shattered on the inside, as if you were trying to piece together a life that no longer makes sense? Sometimes, everything falls apart. Your relationships crumble, your plans turn to dust, your very identity seems to dissolve. In that void, you search for a way out. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman of feudal Japan, also knew chaos. After suffering a defeat at the Battle of Sekigahara, he found himself a wandering ronin, without a master or a home. He was left to confront his own shadow, aimlessly wandering for years. But it was in that abyss that he discovered 5 simple rules, principles so powerful they rebuilt his soul and transformed him from an arrogant youth into an immortal legend. This video isn't about swords. It's about you. It's about how to apply these rules to get back up, reclaim your strength, and turn pain into purpose. If you feel like you've hit rock bottom, maybe this is the beginning. The brutal, necessary beginning of your own reconstruction. It is time to stop running from reality and face the enemy within, yourself. 1. Embrace everything as it is. Musashi wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is." This is the first rule, and perhaps the hardest. When life falls apart, our instinct is to resist. We fight against the pain, the loss, the things we don't understand. We desperately want things to go back to the way they were, for people to treat us as before, for reality to obey our expectations. But this very resistance is what keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering, wearing down our spirit until there's nothing left. Musashi learned this firsthand. After decades of duels and battles, he realized that suffering didn't just come from war, but from the attempt to control the uncontrollable. It was only when he let go of the past, his wounded ego, the idea of how life should be, that he found a brutal and liberating form of freedom. This principle isn't about giving up. It's about seeing the truth so clearly you no longer have the luxury of self-deception. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is not about conforming to defeat. It's about acknowledging, without illusion, the ugly truth of your current reality. Your life may be in ruins now. There may be pain, failure, and loneliness. But as long as you deny it, you cannot move. You cannot build a new life on a foundation of lies. The power of natural adaptability. Think about nature. Water doesn't argue with a rock, it flows around it. The wind doesn't fight the mountain, it passes over or changes direction. To accept is to become flexible like nature, unbreakable even in the midst of a storm. Your reality is the rock. Your mind, the water. To accept is to stop smashing into it and learn to flow toward your goals. Clarity through reality. When you start to see reality without masks, something shifts. You stop wasting energy trying to run away or fight against the present moment and begin to act with clarity. That's when the process of brutal, honest reconstruction truly begins. 2. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Musashi wrote, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake." This simple phrase hides a brutal truth, especially for someone trying to mend a broken life. When we are hurt, lost, or empty, it's natural to seek relief. We want to stop feeling the pain, even for a moment. And that's when we start chasing cheap pleasures, excessive food, constant distractions, addictions, endless social media scrolling. We fill the void with temporary highs, thinking they will heal us. But this kind of pleasure is just an anesthetic. It doesn't heal, it only numbs. And when the effect wears off, the pain returns, often stronger than before. We enter a vicious cycle of escape. We run from the void with pleasure, but this very pleasure empties us even more, leaving us weaker and more dependent on the next temporary fix. The escape becomes another trap, a soft prison that prevents us from ever facing what truly needs to be fixed. Pleasure as an anesthetic. Running from the void with fleeting pleasures is like trying to extinguish a fire with gasoline. It doesn't solve the problem, it only postpones it while making it worse. It's a temporary truce, not a victory. Musashi, who lived a life of extreme discipline and hardship, knew that comfort was the enemy of the warrior. He understood that true progress comes not from avoiding discomfort but from confronting it head-on. The chase for constant pleasure is an act of cowardice, a refusal to sit with your own pain and learn from it. The power of self-control. Musashi understood that the true path isn't to hide from pain, but to walk through it consciously. Instead of seeking pleasure to escape, He chose self-control as his sword. He knew that uncontrolled desire weakens the spirit, turning us into slaves of transient sensations and external validation. To find peace, you must first master yourself. This means learning to say no to the things that offer instant gratification but long-term emptiness. It means choosing the hard path of healing over the easy path of distraction. Transformation through discomfort. True growth happens in pain, discomfort, and silence. This is where your inner warrior is forged. The solitude you fear, the silence you try to escape, these are the very elements that can purify your mind. Ask yourself, are you trying to heal, or just distract yourself? Are you rebuilding, or just anesthetizing yourself? The true warrior faces the darkness with open eyes, and there is no lasting inner victory without effort. There is no strength without struggle, no light without first walking through the shadow. 3. Act with purpose, not impulse. Musashi said, "Do not act guided solely by feelings or emotions." This is one of the most difficult rules to follow and one of the most transformative. When a life is broken, emotions often dominate us. Anger, fear, sadness, and anxiety. They take the wheel and push us toward impulsive actions, words spoken in the heat of the moment, or desperate escapes. This is the moment when a person, shattered and vulnerable, makes decisions that cause more destruction. The instinct is to lash out, to react, to fight a storm that has already defeated you. But Musashi invites us to do something different, something profoundly more difficult. Stop, breathe, and observe. He doesn't tell you to repress emotions. He tells you not to be controlled by them. A warrior feels everything but doesn't react to everything. They respond with consciousness. The fragility of impulse. Acting on impulse makes you predictable, fragile, and easy to manipulate. In the art of the sword, impulsive action is a certain death. In life, it is no different. Your enemies, whether they are other people or your own inner demons, can easily anticipate your next move if you are guided by raw emotion. They will see you coming and will be prepared. The impulsive person is always on the defensive, reacting to the world instead of shaping it. They are a slave to the moment, without a clear strategy for the future. The warrior's calm heart. Musashi trained not only his body but also his mind. He understood that true strength lies in balance, that a warrior's heart should be as calm as a lake, even amidst chaos. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means not being a slave to your own feelings. It is the ability to feel the rage, the fear, the pain, and yet choose a path that is aligned with your long-term purpose, not your short-term impulse. This kind of calm is not a gift. It is a discipline forged in fire. Clarity in the storm. If your life is in ruins, this is precisely when emotional mastery is most needed. Decisions made in a storm often lead to more destruction. Musashi shows us that true reconstruction only happens when the mind becomes as clear as a sharpened blade, capable of seeing the path forward through the emotional fog. The first step to escaping external chaos is to conquer your inner world. 4. Detach from your ego. In his famous Dakodo, Musashi wrote, "Do not think in any way of yourself." This phrase, at first glance, seems radical, almost as if he were telling us to erase ourselves. But in reality, it is a profound lesson about the ego and how it can sabotage a life already in pieces. When we are broken, there is a natural tendency to turn all our attention inward, but in a distorted way. We get trapped in self-pity, guilt, resentment, or a constant need for validation. We start to measure everything by our suffering, by what we've lost, by what we believe we deserved. And so, without realizing it, we become slaves to our own ego. It whispers, "You are a victim," or "You deserve better," and traps you in a cycle of reliving old pains. This obsession with your own narrative prevents you from moving forward and from acting with purpose, as we discussed in the last lesson. The ego's trap. Musashi understood that the ego is loud, fragile, and needy. It constantly needs to be fed with praise and victories. But the path to reconstruction is not about inflating the ego, it's about silencing it. It is an internal battle against the version of you that thinks you've already arrived, or that you are too good to fail. The ego demands external validation, but true strength is built from within, in the silence and solitude that the ego despises. The moment you believe you have made it, and can ease up, is the moment you start to fall. From victim to warrior. When you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start looking at what needs to be done, you stop being a victim and become a warrior. This shift in perspective is everything. It is the difference between being a passive recipient of life's blows and an active participant in your own destiny. The warrior acknowledges the pain but does not dwell on it. They use the anger and frustration as fuel to destroy their own mediocrity. This is the essence of Musashi's philosophy. Productive rage, aimed at your weakness, not yourself. The clarity of purpose. Being obsessed with yourself also blinds you. You stop seeing the people around you, the signs in the world, the opportunities hidden in adversity. You get trapped in a mirror, rehashing old pains. Musashi proposes the opposite. Detachment from the self as the center of the universe. He knew that the more we think only of ourselves, the weaker we become. The way to overcome this is to look outward, to see the bigger picture, and to find a purpose that transcends your own suffering. When you find this purpose, the ego's whispers become irrelevant, and the path to reconstruction becomes clear. 5. Never let jealousy poison your soul. Musashi wrote, "Do not harbor jealousy or envy." This simple yet powerful guidance is one of the least discussed and most transformative keys to healing a broken life. Jealousy is a silent poison. It corrodes the soul from within, making you look at what others have rather than what you can build. When we are in a state of pain, loss, or confusion, it is even easier to be dominated by this feeling. You look around and see people who are seemingly happy, successful, and at peace, and you ask yourself, why do they have it, and I don't? But this question never leads to healing. It only deepens the wound, trapping you in a cycle of comparison and self-pity that keeps you stuck. This emotional poison is the opposite of the detachment we just discussed, replacing a focus on your own growth with a desperate obsession with the external world. Jealousy as self-abandonment. Jealousy is a form of self-abandonment. It's when you stop tending to your own journey to get lost in someone else's. Musashi knew that a warrior cannot fight while looking to the side. They must look straight ahead, firm and focused on their own path. Every moment you spend angry at another's success is energy you could have used to destroy your own mediocrity. You are giving away your most valuable resource, your focus, to a battle that doesn't belong to you. The true warrior understands that their only opponent is their self of yesterday, and that a victory over a lesser man is a step on the path, not the destination. The dojo of life. Musashi didn't see the world as a competition. He saw it as a dojo, a training ground, with each person on their own path, their own battle, their own rhythm. The true warrior honors the progress of others because they know it doesn't diminish their own journey. He knew that if you are on the path, you are on the path, and that your focus should be on your own growth, not on the perceived success of others. He did not fear death, but he feared a wasted life, a life where he didn't reach his full potential. A life wasted on envy is a life where your potential remains a silent whisper, never a roar. Your own path. If your life is in pieces, the worst thing you can do is to want someone else's life. Focus on building your own. Don't compare yourself. Get up, because the time you spend envying could be the time you become unstoppable. The time you spend wishing you were someone else is time that could be spent building the person you are meant to be. The person who is free, whole, and in control of their own destiny. Final lesson. Throughout this journey, we have seen how Musashi's 5 rules are much more than simple teachings. They are powerful tools for reconstructing a life that seems shattered. To accept life as it is without illusion. To face pain without seeking shortcuts that only mask the problem. To control emotions in order to act with clarity. To not be obsessed with yourself, avoiding the ego that isolates. And to never let jealousy poison your heart, diverting you from your true path. Each of these principles builds upon the last, forming a complete system for personal mastery, a way of living that turns a broken life into an unbreakable one. The paradox of reconstruction. Musashi teaches us that life is a battlefield, but also a place of learning and growth. It's not about being perfect or avoiding difficulties, but about staying firm, conscious, and present, even in the face of internal storms. He reminds us that the true way of strategy is the way of nature. Water doesn't struggle to flow. It simply flows, adapting to the landscape. Discipline is not something you endure to get to an easier life. It is what makes you stronger, what transforms you from someone who struggles with hard things into someone who does hard things automatically. It is a process that never ends, and when you accept this eternal struggle, it stops being a struggle and becomes your nature. Building a new self. Each rule is an essential piece to putting your recovery puzzle together. An invitation to look inward with courage and outward with serenity. If you apply these principles, you will begin to realize that the path to reconstruction isn't about going back to what was, but about creating something new, stronger, and truer. You are not trying to repair the old self. You are forging a new one, a warrior who knows how to navigate chaos with a calm heart and a clear mind. The difficult parts of your life, the pain, the loss, the betrayals, are not punishments. They are the forge where you are being hammered into something more resilient. The true victory. The true victory isn't in avoiding the fall, but in getting up afterward with the wisdom of one who has learned to fight life with their mind and heart aligned. Musashi's lessons were not about defeating others, but about mastering the self. When you can defeat the version of you from yesterday, you are on the path to becoming invincible. It is a slow, difficult process, built one small victory at a time. Now, it's up to you to choose. Remain trapped in the past or start mending your life, one step at a time, with the warrior's strength that lies within you.